Hello, nerds. This is Jesse from Rock Sugar, and you're listening to the GeekCast Radio Network. Keep it right here.
You're listening to the GeekCast Radio Network. Unleash the geek in you.
Right. Hello and welcome to GeekCast Radio. This is episode 79. I am your host, TFG and Mike. Joining me this time around is Doug Abel from Talking About My Generation. Hello, sir.
Hello.
For those of you who don't know Doug, he runs Talking About My Generation over at mygenerationpodcast.com. It's pretty much an amalgamation of everything I've done in the past 7 years.
Yes. I ripped you off. I'm sorry.
No. Imitation is the best form of flattery, right?
Of course.
No, it's always so funny to me, folks, when podcasters come up to me now, after doing GCRN for 6 years, podcasting for close to 7 years now, and ask me to do stuff that I've already done or that I've already talked about, and I'm like, well, I did this 5 years ago. It's not that I have a problem with it. I absolutely enjoy it because there are times where I've done so much podcasting in 7 years that I've been doing podcasting that I don't remember half the crap I've said on podcasts. I can tell you, like, if somebody says to me, what's movie we can review episode 44, I can sit here and tell you without even looking it's Bicentennial Man. Or if someone says, what's Tooncast Classic episode 6, I can sit here and tell you it's a pup named Scooby-Doo. But as far as what's actually said in podcasts that are older than almost a month or more, it's like, I don't remember.
But you always have those things of Silverhawks versus Thundercats.
Oh, God,
or Scrappy-Doo versus, Scooby-Dum type of thing.
Yeah.
Those things you always remember. Come on.
Well, I always remember Thunderhawks versus Silvercats and Scrappy versus Scooby-Dum because I still, to this day, will defend my opinion of Scrappy. He injected some life into the Scooby-Doo cartoons. He was a character that any kid at the time that was watching it could really get into. Yeah, sure, he, ran in there in the middle of danger when he probably shouldn't have, but it's just one of those things where the Scooby-Doo formula, after a while, got old really fast. Like, there's so many times I remember as a kid changing the channel if I had seen the same Scooby-Doo episode more than once in one day.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's just one of those things. So we're here. We are 1 week away from episode 80 of GeekCast Radio here, where we will announce the winners for the second annual GCRN Awards. And this episode here in 79, I wanted to have Steve on because he likes this subject. I wasn't sure, but the timing just didn't work out. But we're going to talk about tonight comedians we love and comedians we hate.
Works for me.
Let's face it, folks. Most of us growing up in the 80s, even though probably as kids we didn't get a chance to stay up late and watch The Man, everybody grew up with Johnny Carson.
Oh, God, yes.
I mean, we're going to talk about all kinds of comedians here tonight, folks. It's not just going to be, late night, or it's going to be everybody, even a few of the female ones, even though most of them suck.
Yeah.
I honestly think there is only one female comedian that I've actually both laughed and cringed at over the years, and may she rest in peace. But She was at her funniest when she was on Fashion Police. I can't believe I'm admitting that I watched Fashion Police, but it's Joan Rivers. I mean, she was the voice of Mikey's little sister in Look Who's Talking Too. Or no, wait, wasn't that?
She was the voice in the first
at the
one.
end. At the end of the first Look Who's Talking movie. I wish they would have kept her for the second one.
God, it would have been so much better than Roseanne Barr.
But yeah, we're going to talk about all kinds of comedians. We're going to talk about ones, like I said, we love and we hate. Because let's face it, folks, there are comedians out there that are not going to fit everybody's comedic style. And I know this episode is probably going to cause a lot of controversy with at least one or two of the ones that I bring up. Because, yeah. So, how we're going to do this is we're going to take a quick break. I'm going to play you a couple of clips from comedians that we love. We'll have the discussion, a couple of clips of comedians we hate, and then we'll have that discussion and all this and all that. Just before we get to this, do you remember the very first comedian you ever saw, or the very first person as a comedian that you kind of gravitated towards?
Oh, God. Well, I can tell you the very first person who I ever saw on stage. That was actually, I went to the Del Mar Fair, San Diego County Fair, for those people who have never heard of it. And I saw, Bill. He's one of the three guys who does Blue Collar Comedy Tour, and I can't.
Bill Engvall.
Thank you,
yeah.
Bill Engvall. I'm like, shit, the guy was standing up there, and he was really funny, and he was clean, and I thought it was great. He was the very first one I ever saw, and I remember laughing and laughing and laughing about him because one of the things I liked about him was that he didn't do a lot of blue material. It's. I mean, I've seen other comedians since then, but he wasn't very blue. He did stuff that, you could conceivably take kids to see and kids to laugh at. So,
absolutely. Since you went the stand-up route, I guess I'll go. I haven't seen a lot of them in person. I mean, I've seen obviously we've all seen everyone's specials on TV and stuff like that. But
oh yeah.
Because, as I said, folks, we're not just talking about stand-up here. We're talking about any kind of comedian you can imagine. Cosby, Robin Williams, anybody. But as far as stand-up goes, I actually remember, this is bumfuck nowhere, Kentucky. I don't know. It was when I was in the foster home program in the state of Kentucky when I was a ward of the state back in the 90s. I was at this foster home placement. I think it was Bedford, Kentucky. I could be wrong. I don't remember the name of the town or anything like that. But they actually had the people I was staying with, or the people that I was placed with, actually helped run this little restaurant. It wasn't a full-on comedy club, but it was some sort of festival place kind of thing. They actually had Jeff Foxworthy at this place, and I was pretty much working the room.
Oh man!
like pouring drinks and not alcoholic beverages, but because at this time I think this was 94, 95, something like that, and yeah, no, it was 90. Might have been 97. I don't know. It is a long-ass time ago, folks, but, I was anywhere between 14 and 17 years of age, so I'm sitting there pouring soda for everybody, and as I'm, carrying the drinks around, just watching the acts, and it was so cool seeing him in that small of a space. I mean, it wasn't a dive place, it was more of it was a combination of a small venue and a tented area, even though it wasn't tented. But it had that feel of, it was small, but it wasn't confining. I mean, it's not like, Casey Jones sleeping in the back of the pickup truck. It's nothing like that. You know what I mean?
Fair enough.
But that's one thing I remember as far as stand-up goes. So, all right, folks, we're going to get to comedians we love after this.
You are dead to me. You're dead to all of us.
All right, folks, we are back, and it is time for Comedians We Love. I love what the internet has done to some old comedy bits. There's a video, or there used to be a video out there, that took one of the best, if not the best comedy bit of all time, and mashed it up with something we both love. Mashed it up with Transformers, which was Abbott and Costello's Who's on First.
Oh, dear Lord.
I'll have to show it to you, but I still have the audio. I forget what album it came off of or whatever, but I had bought it off iTunes years ago, and I love listening to Who's on First.
You know, there's something to be said for that particular piece of work. Just going through back and forth, Abbott and Costello, you know, who's on first? That exactly. No, you know, what? You know, they're going back and forth and just trading back and forth. And the fact that whole thing was originally a vaudeville act they pulled off, it still floors me. I mean, this is back before the time of film, really. Damn, they were good at that time.
And it's so, like, I love the audio version of the skit. And again, I couldn't tell you what album it's on, folks. I'm not looking at the information, but I love the audio version of it because it's so clean. Sure, it does have the audience, like, laugh track in there. Not laugh track, but it has the audience laughter in there. But I actually had I had gotten my mom for, I don't know, Christmas or Mother's Day or something or other one year, like this 7-disc set of their best, I don't know, there was some big DVD set of all of Abbott and Costello's best stuff. And it was on there, and my mom was like, here, let's watch this. And I don't want to say anything negative about it, but watching the skit, it didn't bring me the same enjoyment as just listening to the skit.
Yeah.
Because I know what both of them look like. I can visualize in my head as I'm hearing it on the audio track, what their gestures are and all this and all that. So there's Abbott and Costello. I'm trying to think. You mentioned Bill Engvall earlier. I love Bill Engvall. I can listen to his album. I think it's Cheap and Drunk or Drunk. I forget which one it is. It's one of them. But it's the one where he's talking about his daughter for most of the time.
Oh God, yes.
And it's just so awesome. It really, really is. Oh, it's the one where he's talking about saving the bread. Or the twist ties. It's
yes. Just
like,
twist it around and wrap it under. That's all you got to do.
Yep.
I don't know. Bill Engvall is still one of my favorites, though, for Here's Your Sign.
Oh, well, yeah.
I mean, everybody loves him for that. That's his go-to. And we've all been there. And I know that was one of the things when I was working at Cox that I would have. I swear, I would have died for one of those easy buttons that when you pressed it, it said, Here's Your Sign for people. Oh, my God. I really wish I could have found something like that. I would have loved it.
Absolutely. So what are a couple of yours?
I'm going to say, I'm probably going to take flack for this, but one of my favorites, Bill Cosby. And the reason for this is that I like Bill Cosby from what I remember him when I was growing up. He was not the sexual predator that everybody seems to have him titled as now. He was, he was the voice of Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids. He was, he was doing all that. He was showing us, kids having a good time in a junkyard, which I always thought was kind of odd, but it was still great. Him talking about him and his brother growing up. And, Dad, my name is Jesus Christ. That's God damn it over there. Those things. I loved some of that stuff. That and going to the dentist and he's talking about that and slurring his words. Those were funny things. Buck. I loved Buck from Bill Cosby. And, to this day, I can pretty much almost recite it word for word.
Absolutely.
So what if people think that he's bad now? I still like the man. I still think he's funny. Would I go to a concert now, or would I go to see him live in person? Probably not.
Well, I'll say this: before the whole controversy came out about him being an alleged sexual predator, and I'm gonna say alleged, folks, because I have not been following it. I heard the news. I have not seen anything about court dates or him being actually convicted of this crime, so I'm going to stick with alleged. Before all this happened, he had this comedy special recently, a couple years ago, I think. Might have been last year, I don't remember. And in it, he is an old man. Well, I mean, everybody gets old, grows up and gets old. But all the stuff that he's talking about is the same stuff he has talked about since 1969. It's just changed format a different way. Or, don't get me wrong. I don't want Bill Cosby to come out and not talk about marriage or kids or anything like that. I don't want him to go blue or anything, I mean, but I just, at the end of that thing, at the end of that comedy special, the newest one, I'm like, that's not my Bill Cosby. And I'll say this, I am one of those types of people, and I grew up like this. I've been this way since I was a kid, folks. As long as what the people are doing on my television, on my radio, whatever, I don't care about their personal lives. Their personal lives don't affect me. Do I have emotions and feel sadness when news stories like, this stuff come up? Yeah, sure. Am I sad that Robin Williams passed away? You damn skippy I am. But I care about what the person or persons or group or whatever put out as a product for whatever they're doing. That's what I care about. But his act, some of it was funny, and other points it's like, I don't know. At least I still always have the best of from '69.
Best of, Buck, like I said, Noah's Ark. Those were some of the best things.
Revenge.
Oh, God, Junior Barnes.
You gunky.
Yes.
And my mother had thrown the snowball away, so I walked back outside and I spit on him.
Yes. Or driving in San Francisco. I'm going up the hill. I'm climbing up the hill. And I get up to the top of the hill and I look over. Somebody put a stop sign at the top of the hill. Yes.
So you know what we did? We turned it into a used cars lot. And, Cosby, even after his stand-up days, when he went to the Cosby Show, he made that entire cast made the show, but him and Felicia Rashad as Cliff and Claire Huxtable.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
it didn't... I don't know if I really want to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway, and if people can give me flack for it if they want to. In the 80s, at least in my family or in the people that I knew, nobody cared that the Huxtables were African American.
Yeah, he was...
Nobody cared. Where I learned half of my family values, other than the stuff that my mom and my dad had taught me, was from television, and it was from Cliff Huxtable.
Yeah, he was actually very wholesome. The family show that we saw was very wholesome. You learned good stuff. And the things that he talked about, he never really... I don't remember him ever having, an episode where he was confronting full-on, blown-out racism. I mean, I'm sure that there was some, but it was different. I mean, here's this affluent black man going around and dealing with life and being a doctor. He had his kids led a good life. He sent his kids off to college. I was blown away by that. And the fact that now people are saying, oh, no, he's absolutely horrible. I can't believe what he's done. That he would have, he would do a show like that. And behind the scenes, he'd be, raping some girls or something like that. I
just don't. Until he comes out and confesses, I'm not going to believe it.
Yeah, I mean,
And is it going to change my opinion of his work that he's already done? No, not at all.
Yeah. I still think his early stuff was funny. His current stuff, not quite so funny, just because he seems to have gone off the deep end, but,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, like I said, the best of from '69, and for me, it's the best of Bill Cosby album, and it's obviously the Cosby Show.
Yeah.
And Fat Albert, mixed in there a little bit, and I love I love to do now is when I do actually get out of the house is if I remember when I did get out of the house to go see the new last year's Turtles movie. I actually, on the way out of the theater, I saw a kid, and the kid asked his mom, "What's Buck Buck?" I said, Bill Cosby invented that. It boggles my mind that people watching the 2014 TMNT film think that Buck Buck is new.
Oh.
It's not new.
Yeah. Some people call it Johnny on the Pony. Yeah.
Pony.
God. It is, oh God, it's just that sours me thinking about that.
I know, right?
Makes me think, God, I'm old.
Yeah, I know, right? Let's see, other comedians. I don't like these. Okay, I like Jeff Foxworthy individually, and I like Bill Engvall individually. When it comes to Ron White and Larry the Cable Guy, I like them better when they are the four of them as the Blue Collar Comedy Tour.
Oh, yeah.
And how they interact with each other. And how they pretty much treat Larry like he's, the child that should be wearing the dunce cap the entire time in the classroom. Yep. I've seen... Okay, I'll say this. The best thing Larry the Cable Guy has done for me outside of the Blue Collar Comedy Tour specials is he is the voice of Mater.
Okay.
The Cars franchise.
I was going to say, whoa, hold on a second. Mater's pretty cool.
He is.
So, yeah, I mean, that was, like you said, that's probably the best thing.
Yeah, outside of the Blue Collar Comedy Tours. But, no, what I love about some of those Blue Collar Tours, and I forget which one it is, but there's one where they all start doing each other's bits at the end.
Yes.
And they get to doing, you might be a redneck if.
Oh, yeah.
And... it's just so hilarious. I absolutely love that. Let's see here. But yeah, the Blue Collar Comedy Tour, that was a pretty interesting time.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of it going around at that time, it seemed like, at least for me. I remember seeing Blue Collar Comedy Tour. They had the Kings and Queens of Comedy, the Latin Kings of Comedy, things that were going on. Those were okay. They just weren't all that funny to me. And I think part of it was because a lot of the Kings and Queens of Comedy were more racy, and it was primarily African Americans doing those. And I have nothing against African American humor. It's just, some of it was just so far out there, and I felt so disconnected. I wasn't able to find it as funny as somebody else would have, partially because of the way that their culture was brought up, the way that they were brought up in their culture, and I wasn't.
Yeah.
I'm not knocking these people. Kevin Hart, I think he's hilarious. Cat, God, I can't think of his last name.
Yeah. I know who you're talking
Williams.
about.
Cat Williams, yeah. I think that he's hilarious. Orlando Jones, he does great stand-up, and he's very funny. I mean, I think he's actually funnier doing stand-up than he is in any of the roles that he's ever played. Being, whether it was in Evolution or his little small bit in Office Space. I mean, the guy is hilarious. Mm-hmm. I remember him being, one of the funnier things was when he was doing commercials for 7-Up, and they had him taking pictures of people saying, "Show us your cans," and they're all sending him pictures of their butts. And he takes one look at it and he goes, "Man, that just looks like 2 giant Christmas hams under there." And I mean, I thought that was hilarious. And he got pulled right after that because he did a shot where they're talking about being all natural with 7-Up, and there's a bear peeing in the water behind him. And I thought it was funny, but people thought it was disgusting, and I just was like, you can't hold that against him. You can't hold that against him. He was for the most part very clean. He did not do anything obscene, and I love him for that. I think he's great.
Yeah, there's only, I think, 3 movies that he's done that I've actually seen. Office Space, obviously. The Replacements from 2000. Bedazzled is another one from 2000. And then 2001's Double Take, he played Daryl Chase. That was hilarious. I love Double Take.
That's the one with him and Eddie Griffin, right?
Uh-huh, yep.
I have not seen that yet. I know there's something about him going, "Can't you get me some Schlitz malt liquor?" That's all that I remember from the trailer, and I was like, okay, maybe I got to see it, and I just never did. So I'm gonna have to go find it. Maybe it's on Netflix.
But yeah, Orlando Jones. Let's see. I'm trying to think. Bill Engvall, like I said. Jeff Foxworthy. I'm trying to think of other. Adam Sandler to a point. Don't get me wrong, and Steve Megatron, please do not bash me when I say this. I like Adam Sandler. I like a lot of his earlier movies. Lately, I haven't really. I think the last Adam Sandler movie I somewhat enjoyed was Click. And as far as his stand-up goes, the only thing that I absolutely love is the 90s album, What the Hell Happened to Me? Because that has the goat on it.
Oh, is that the one that has Piece of Shit Car as well? I'm trying to remember.
I couldn't tell you, honestly.
Oh.
I just remember What the Hell Happened to Me has the goat on it. And Adam Sandler, started out on SNL. Actually, he started out on the Cosby Show, but had his SNL bits, went on to do his own movie career, and I still love a lot of Adam Sandler movies. Hell, certain cable channels can't stop running Billy Madison right now for some odd reason.
There's a limit for how much. I love Happy Gilmore. I love Billy Madison, but there's only so much I can take of it. I get burned out after seeing a Billy Madison, Big Daddy, Adam, at basically everything Happy Madison Productions. Mm-hmm. You start doing that, okay, look, we got to take a break, folks, please. When
it comes to that, for me, it's Happy Gilmore, it's Wedding Singer, Waterboy, 51st Dates. Those are pretty much the 4 movies that I can watch. Not all the time, but when they do come on, I actually want to sit down and watch them. I'm not sure what he's done for stand-up in a long time. I don't think I could be wrong, folks. I'm not, like I said, I'm not looking at any info here, but has he done stand-up in the past 10 years?
Define stand-up, because he did a movie about stand-up. I think it was Funny People. I'm trying to remember what it is. I have to look
I think you're right.
And he was doing like a stand-up routine for that. It just
I'm talking about when I say stand up, folks, I mean you're actually on a stage, you film it and you put it out as like something like what Jeff Dunham would do, where he films his specials and stuff like that. And we'll talk about Jeff Dunham a little bit later.
Oh yeah,
but I'm not sure if he's done any stand up recently. Like the last. As far as discography here, 93's They're All Gonna Laugh at You. 96 was What the Hell Happened to Me. The last one he did was Shh, Don't Tell in 2004. So it's been a long time since he's done stand-up. And let's face it, I mean, the guy has got, an amazing movie career. So, I mean, it's not like he needs to do stand-up, but...
Yeah. I don't know. It's like him and Jim Carrey. I love them both, but I'm getting the feeling like both of them kind of just fallen off the face of the earth with their latest movies. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Jim Carrey. I think the last one that he did that was good was Yes Man. Adam Sandler. Maybe you can't mess with the Zohan. You know, I mean, I haven't really seen anything that was great after that. Grown Ups and Grown Ups 2, Hotel
Yeah.
Transylvania, You know, I mean, just nothing special.
Yeah.
You know, just you know, Jim Carrey. I mean, he's kind of had the same thing, but some of it I think is just because he's tried to do more serious roles, things like The Majestic. I love The Majestic, but
Right.
people saw it and they were like, he's not a comedian in it. He's not Jim Carrey. He's not that, and they didn't find him funny. I thought he was great. I love being able to see an actor go and be something serious and be, a comedian and make people laugh.
Yeah, when it comes to Jim Carrey, I will never not see him as Fire Marshal Bill. Everybody loves Fire Marshal Bill. I don't care who you are. Everybody that grew up watching In Living Color loves Fire Marshal Bill. And if you don't, you're a damn liar.
There are times when I go, oh my God, wait. He was Fire Marshal Bill, and it's like, oh yeah, I have to go back and remember that. Not because, and it's just one of these things of, I have to go back and sit down and watch In Living Color again, those episodes to remember why I thought he was so funny, because I still think he's hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
But I just have to sit back and go, wait, what was he doing that made me laugh about it? And once I start seeing, it's like, oh yeah, the whole thing of blowing things up and catching stuff on fire and catching himself on fire and having, 4 fingers after chopping one off or something like that. That was hilarious.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, let's face it, 94, he pretty much hit big. I mean, he was big on In Living Color, but when, he became Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, he pretty much launched his movie career. Because after that, you had The Mask, Dumb and Dumber, Batman Forever, which I know a lot of people don't like, whatever, fine. The Ace Ventura sequel, Liar Liar is amazing. I love that film.
Yeah.
I have not. There are certain Jim Carrey films that I have not watched because I just don't find interest in them. Some of them, the serious ones, like The Truman Show and Man on the Moon and that kind of stuff.
Well, there was one that I saw him in recently, Kick-Ass 2, which it shocked the hell out of me because when I saw it, I'm like, oh my God, that's Jim Carrey? He plays a character called Colonel Stars and Stripes, and I had to do a double take. I mean, I did realize it after watching him for about 10 minutes who it was, but it was just like, whoa, he looks nothing like Jim Carrey. He had, crew cut going, and he was this military type, and just, he was hilarious. He was funny in it, but it just was not anything I'd ever seen him pull off before.
Right. I loved him in Bruce Almighty. I thought that was hilarious. I think the most serious one that I've seen him in that I really, really enjoyed was the number 23 from 2007.
Oh, I've heard about that. I haven't seen it yet. I heard it's good, though.
Yeah, that movie was kind of awesome. And he just released last year Dumb and Dumber 2. Well, he didn't, but the Farrelly brothers didn't. Obviously, he's in it, and it doesn't live up to the original.
Yeah, there was something about that where they caught lightning in a bottle, and it was funny seeing him and Jeff just going at it with each other, and peeing in the bottles and taking the road trip, and just trading away the car for the mini bike. I still can't get over that.
I know it's wrong, but you know what the funniest scene for me in the entire movie is? When they pop the champagne cork and kill the owl.
Oh, God. Yes.
Oh, damn, people. Because it's just so unexpected. You see that scene before they even get there. As soon as they come in, there goes the neighborhood when it comes to the animals.
Oh, yeah.
Jim Carrey's another one. We can't talk about comedians, at least ones we love, without talking about, like I said, Johnny Carson. Johnny had this knack, and he was the standard for, 30 years?
Oh, yeah.
He was the king of late night. He still is the king of late night. His legacy will live on forever between him and Ed and all this stuff. I think Johnny Carson is the only late night talk show host comedian that I can actually watch his animal acts that he has on there, like Jack Hanna and that kind of stuff. It's the only one I can even watch now. Because anytime any of the other hosts, doesn't matter who it is, bring on animals onto the show, it's like, no, just don't even go there. Change the channel. I just can't handle it. What was it? The Great Carmack?
Oh yes, the Great Karnak, and he's holding letters up, holding letters up to his hat, and he's reading them off, and he's saying what it is, and then hands it over to Ed, and Ed opens it up, and there's something hilarious on the inside. Just that, his monologues at the very beginning of the show were classic. I loved it. He pulled that off so well, and yes, Jay Leno took over and did a great job of doing it as well. I mean, Jay had his own run, but even Jay had said it was, he was filling shoes that were meant to be worn by the master, by Johnny Carson.
Absolutely.
And, Johnny is he was one of a kind. One of a kind.
It really is. And Jay Leno, I liked what he did with The Tonight Show. I thought it was interesting. I thought he had some interesting questions for the guests and stuff like that. He didn't try to be cool or hip. If he did, it was more of a comedic way than just completely stupidly awkward. And that's where I find, I don't hate David Letterman. I liked him back in the 90s. I mean, obviously, I didn't see him when he was on NBC, but I saw him, once he was with CBS. And I mean, I loved all the old top tens and whatever else, but there are just certain times where Dave is asking questions to whoever it is, and the whole scene looks so uncomfortable. And he'll go to Paul to break up it's kind of like, we'll be right back after this.
Yeah.
It's kind of like one of those things where he's like, Paul, save me, man, save me.
Yes.
I do like Dave. He is interesting. He hasn't been funny for me in 20 years, though. But like I was saying, with Leno, I liked what he did. I think my favorite thing with him was Thursday night or Wednesday night headlines. When
yes.
He would show the headlines. I thought that was hilarious.
I like that in jaywalking. My grandmother was actually picked up for one episode. They're showing people. I got to talk about this for just a second.
Okay, go ahead.
We go to Universal Studios, and we're coming down this escalator, and they're taking pictures of people. They've got a video camera shooting at people coming off the escalator. And my grandmother had this goofy look on her face, like she was completely lost as she steps off of it. And they put her on. Now, they were doing things like, here comes, so-and-so on the red carpet for the Oscars tonight, coming down. And, it's like, they were saying, oh, here's Shirley MacLaine. It's a big fat black woman walking down. Something like that. My grandmother got on there for that, and I don't remember what it was, but she had this look on her face, and the public just laughed at it because she was lost. And I mean, we're just like, Grandma, come over here. And then, of course, as we're walking away, they're going, wait. We have to get your permission so we can use your likeness on the Tonight Show. It'll be on for a clip tonight. My grandmother's like, what the hell are you going on for? What the hell do you want my likeness for? And she started to get offended, and my mom and I had to say, no, Grandma, you're going to be on national television. You need to say yes. Please say yes. And it was just, she finally was like, okay. And she goes, what the hell was that all about as we're walking away? I love my grandmother. She, God rest her soul, but she was one of those things. And just Jay Leno picked up on it and thought it was hilarious. So, That with the jaywalking stuff that he did was great.
Yeah. Who else for you as far as ones you like or enjoy or whatever?
I think I've pretty much got them. I mean, you've covered a lot of what I liked with the blue collar comedy. Jeff Dunham probably is the only other one I'd have to mention.
Oh, absolutely. I know a lot of people say that, oh, Jeff Dunham, he's for the simple man. His act is not that, whatever. And I'm thinking, seriously, really? I mean, this is a guy who you have to admire, no matter how simple you think his act is as far as the jokes go. You have to admire him because at the age of God knows what, he knew exactly what he wanted to do with his life.
Oh, yeah.
He wanted to be a ventriloquist. Like, I remember age 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There was one year I said I wanted to be a cop. There was one year I said I wanted to be a firefighter. There was one year I said I wanted to be a superhero. I mean, all of us, most people I know never said at age XYZ when they were kids exactly what they were going to do and stuck to it.
Yeah.
This is a guy who, like I said, at whatever young age it was, sat there and said, I want to do ventriloquism. Because that is what inspired him, and he has done it for his entire life. He hasn't had another, I'm sure he's had, jobs when he was a kid and whatever else, but I mean, the ventriloquism pretty much was his job. I've listened to, watched, read everything I can about this guy. I have his autobiography on iTunes for audiobooks. I've watched all the specials. I've seen all the stuff, from earlier years. I used to have a, I don't know if it's still there, but one of his he originally did this before he got famous. He did this this 5-voice part of the act where he brings in, it's Peanut and Jose.
Oh, God.
He then brings in, plus himself, so that's 3. He brings in the tequila and the tequila worm.
Oh, Jesus.
And he voices all of the... He still does that kind of same thing today with the whole Jeff dummy doll that he uses. And he kind of brought that back, but like watching stuff like Arguing with Myself with him and Sweet Daddy D and Walter and Peanut and all that. This is before he introduced Ahmed. His very first special, Arguing with Myself. Watching that and then going on YouTube and finding that other clip and seeing what really, really can do.
It takes some talent to be able to pull off, because you have to remember which voices you're going back and forth with. Mm-hmm. There was a comedian who I saw who was very similar. He is in Vegas, Terry Fader. And there was, on the special that I saw him do, he screwed up the voices he was trying to do for Michael Jackson. And he screwed it up and it was absolutely hilarious because he starts moving his mouth and saying that he was Michael Jackson. And the puppet was going on with this this weird voice that he had for being like a cowboy or something like that. And it just came off totally weird. And he's like, I screwed up the voices. I've never seen Jeff Dunham do that. I'm sure he could pull it off and make it be absolutely hilarious. Mm-hmm. But when he goes from Peanut and he's arguing with Peanut and himself and Jose Jalapeno on a stick, I don't know how the hell he keeps it all in his head straight. I mean, even if you practice that over and over and over and over again, there's still always a chance of you screwing it up. And he holds on to it perfectly.
Mm-hmm. You were supposed to take him to the spa. I took him to the spa. He put me in the vegetable steamer, senor.
Yes.
It's the same thing! I remember from Arguing with Myself when he introduced Bubba J. And it went Walter, Sweet Daddy D, Bubba J, and then Peanut and Jose. And it's so funny because I never knew this at the time. And one of my friends must have seen his act or something, because one of my friends, who I was with at the group home that we were at. This was 97, 98. My friend must have seen his act or something, because my friend would always say, and they're going to take a left turn and another left turn. I did not realize that was a Dunham bit until I saw Arguing with Myself. But Arguing with Myself didn't come out until 2006. So I'm like, where did he even get that? But, seeing that and then seeing the follow-up after Sweet Daddy D, it's like, oh, Sweet Daddy D is like, oh, yeah, because me and all the brothers just laying around the hood. Oh, Lordy, what are we going to do? There's no hockey. Let's watch NASCAR. This is another dumb cracker sport. And I'm just quoting this from memory, folks. I've seen these specials more than enough times to quote them from memory. Most of them. Like Peanut in Arguing with Myself. He's like, hey, Peanut, you're going to do the traffic. Okay. Everybody's pretty busy out there. You should have all stayed at home. Come back and talk to me at 5:30. I'll tell you the same thing.
Yep.
Except they're going the other way. I love Jeff Dunham. I really do. Man is hilarious, and things that he has shown up in, like he was in Dinner for Schmucks.
Oh.
And he created a female dummy. And he's done voiceover in several different things, and
yeah, he does so well, and I love him.
He does so well, but I think there are certain mediums, and I think this for any stand-up comic. Some succeed, others have pretty much failed. Giving stand-up comics their own shows based off of their, lives or lives on the road, or and don't get me wrong, I love Jeff Foxworthy, I love Bill Engvall, and I love Jeff Dunham, but those are three guys that have all had television series that have failed.
Yeah.
I wish the Jeff Dunham show would have worked, but it sadly didn't.
Well, and I think part of it was just because he didn't have enough material to keep it going for
that, and the budget and having to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, on a weekly basis. It's interesting to me where some of these comedians end up after they've done a television series, because for the longest time, and I don't think it's still running, for the longest time, Jeff Foxworthy was the host for Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader?
Yeah.
But Jeff Dunham, he's the only person that could make anyone in America or the world like a dead terrorist.
Yes.
When he introduced Ahmed in Spark of Insanity, it was just awesome. And then you followed that character's journey through the next few specials. I still remember the Christmas special. I absolutely love it. Ahmed goes, yeah, there is Jingle Bombs, but before that, Ahmed goes, he says, I went to the doctor the other day. I have scoliosis, and then like 2 or 3 seconds later, he says, I also have polio, and then like 2 beats later, Jeff is like, well, anyone with poliosis, and Ahmed's like, what the f*** is poliosis? So you do see Jeff kind of lose himself a few times.
Oh yeah, but I mean,
in the shows. What's most interesting, I wish they would have done this for all the DVDs, but on a few of them there are commentaries. And the Arguing with Myself DVD, listening to that commentary is most interesting to how they tell you. Jeff actually tells us that special was made from 2 different shows. It wasn't just one show.
Oh wow.
Like, you most comedians do 2 or 3 shows a night.
Right.
Most of them do. So they made up that entire special filming it from 2 very different audiences. And it was just simply amazing. His Minding the Monsters one was hilarious.
I have to see that one. There's several that I have not seen yet, and I really want to see them, and I just...
Have you seen Controlled Chaos? It was before Minding the Monsters.
No. I've seen Art myself. I've seen Christmas Special. There was another special that he did.
Spark of Insanity.
I've seen those 3 for sure.
Okay. Oh my god. No, you have to see. You have to see Controlled Chaos. It is hilarious. It really, really is, because throughout the first 3 specials, he's always talking about Ahmed's family and the fact that he has a son, or he had a son.
Ahmed Jr. I've seen a small smidge of a clip with Ahmed Jr.
He takes Controlled Chaos to introduce Ahmed Jr. And the clip is just so... When they get to a certain point in the bit by itself, before he introduces Ahmed Jr., is hilarious. But when he does introduce Ahmed Jr., it gets even more funny after that. Yeah, I love me some Jeff Dunham. I cannot wait to see what he does next. Last year, he released his All Over the Map special. I like the jokes in the special. I just don't like the format of it. It was basically him filming the world tour he did, where he went to, 5 continents, 12 different countries, 27 different cities. Don't get me wrong. I love the material. I just don't like the way the special is presented to us, where they basically try to make it like a bookend film, where they'll take a couple of characters and do a bit in London, and then they'll do like a page turn or some sort of weird transition, and then they'll go to a different country. The jokes in themselves are great. Absolutely love that. It's just the way it's presented is what I don't enjoy. All right, folks, we've been talking for a while here on Ones We Love. Let's bash some comedians over here. We'll be back after this.
We have a guy on our staff who's the head of our IT department. His name is Chris Hayes. There's a photo of him. Great, yeah, a little confident. He's a great guy.
Very Mr. Clean.
I know, exactly. He's a great guy. He's a computer genius. Here's the thing. Whenever I walk by Chris's desk, it's not that far from my office. Whenever I walk by his desk, he's almost always eating Taco Bell. And I am not making that up. He is obsessed with their food.
Yes.
It's like a religion with him.
Yes.
Okay? And it's gotten to the point where we make jokes about it at the office. Well, that got me wondering, if Chris loves Taco Bell so much, is there something I can do for him that won't cost me any money but give him great joy, using the incredible power I have in show business, okay?
From New York City, Comedy Central presents That Band.
New York! Yes! I love New York. New York rocks. Okay. Let's give a round of applause for everybody here. You guys do a good job. Let's give a round of applause. Want to crack the joke? Kidding. My parents hate it when I do that. My mom's like, that's not funny. You want to make fun of us? Huh? You want to make fun of Asian time? You want to be a smug alley? What the heck is that? You want a smug trick in the alley? Pass or fail?
All right, folks, it is now time for us to talk about comedians we don't like, comedians we hate, comedians we just cannot watch. For me, I understand they screwed him over, but I blame NBC more than I blame Conan or Leno. But other than the writing he did on The Simpsons, I don't mind Conan's comedy. I don't mind his jokes, as long as it's not him telling them or him even being on camera. Like, him being on camera, I remember watching him. What was it? Was it the Late Late Show, or was it what's the one after that? Not Late Late Show. It's what's the one on NBC?
Oh God.
after the Tonight Show. What the Late Night with Seth? Yeah. Late Night with Conan O'Brien. Like when I would watch Late Night with Conan O'Brien, and he would do all these really, really weird. To me, they look awkward. He does all these really, really weird, stupid, in-your-face camera moves, and like just basically taking a camera and just basically hitting himself in the forehead with it. It's like, ugh, no, dude, don't. And then the biggest thing that I do not like that he had ever done, and I know this had to be very uncomfortable for Bruce Timm, the whole C thing, the whole C-Man or whatever the hell, his superhero drawing thing that he had Bruce Timm do for him. Yeah. I've seen that clip over and over and over again, and it just looked... The man has potential to... And I'm sure a lot of people find him funny. I just don't. I don't find Conan funny. It has nothing to do with the whole NBC thing whatsoever. Even when he was with NBC on Late Night, I never found him funny. I find him reprehensible when he's on camera. I find it's not to the point... My dislike of Conan is not like my dislike of Ren and Stimpy as far as the animation style goes, but it's pretty much up there.
Right.
They're about even with each other. It's like a tie. I just don't... I don't know. I've tried watching him now on TBS, and again, he does these commercials where he does this... He's still doing this camera thing, where he, his face is all up in the camera, and it's like, dude, take a step back, tell your joke, and be done with it. And it just...
What gets me is that people find that funny. It's... I don't know. It's right up there. It's like... I'm going to go with one of mine here real quick.
Go ahead.
Gilbert Gottfried.
Uh-huh.
Okay. I don't know why people find him funny. He's offensive. He's disgusting. The only thing which I found funny, which he did, was when he started he went off on The Associates. And he starts going on this joke. And this is, for anybody who's not familiar with this, Penn Jillette did a documentary film called The Associates, in which comedians all have this joke they tell to each other, and it basically just goes off, and they all have their own spin on it, and they tell it their own way and pull this whole joke off. Everybody knows it, but nobody ever does it on stage. Mm-hmm. And then Gilbert Gottfried did it at a roast. And
Lord.
It just started going off and taking this awkward turn, and everybody was like, oh, he's hilarious for that. Really? He was hilarious because he went completely off color? Yeah. There was a bit... I remember him getting kicked off of TV for a while because he came out for the Grammys or the Oscars or something like that, and he starts imitating Jerry Seinfeld talking about masturbation.
Oh, jeez.
My mom went, what the hell is this? And she turned off the TV. She goes, I don't want you watching this. And I says, I don't blame you, Mom. It's too damn creepy.
Yeah, the only time I've enjoyed Gilbert is when he's doing his voiceovers, or when he was playing Sidney Bernstein. My wife, that's my wife's car, bitch. Yeah. In Beverly Hills Cop 2. It's sad that I even have to admit this, but... I was curious. Like I said earlier in this podcast, folks, I really don't care what happens to celebrities in their personal lives, but when it's shoved down our throats, and I know I could have just ignored this, but my curiosity, I just couldn't help myself. I watched the celebrity wife swap episode with him.
Oh, dear Lord. Somebody married him?
The most interesting thing is Munch shows up because Munch is one of his lifelong friends, Richard Belzer. But it's who did he swap with? I don't remember. But I mean, like, yeah, Gilbert Gottfried. I've never
here we
really.
Go. He swapped wives with Alan Thicke.
That's right. That's right. I've never really seen his stand-up stuff.
It's dirty. I mean, he's got stuff that could be funny, like, you know, Andrew Dice Clay. He's offensive, but he's funny when he does it. Gilbert Gottfried is just straight out offensive. Okay, there's a big difference. I mean, I love listening to him when he's Iago. When he actually just did a Elf stop motion animation for this past Christmas. I thought he was hilarious on that. But I just have a hard time seeing him as anything else. You know, oh.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Who else that I just really don't care for? You know, we've talked about this previously over on Altered Geek with Steve Megatron. We've talked about the late night stuff, but late night nowadays is horrible in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
I know people love Jimmy Fallon on the Tonight Show, and I know that the Tonight Show has to change and it has to grow and it has to get a new audience now that obviously, may he rest in peace, Johnny is gone and Ed are gone and Jay is quote unquote retired. You know, I understand it needs a new audience, but honestly, I like Jimmy in at least two of the films he did. You know, Fever Pitch and Taxi. Sure, Taxi's a horrible movie, but it was still kind of funny because it's him and Queen Latifah. But I don't know. I liked him better when he was on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, he does some funny stuff. Like he has a bit which he's done where he imitates songwriters or like he does one
singers. Yeah,
yeah. He does one about troll dolls, and he starts singing. You know, it's Mr. Jones and Me. I forget who it is that sings that song. Counting Crows, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, it's Counting Crows.
But he does Mr. Troll and Me, and it's hilarious when he does it because he sounds just like the song, and he pulls it off really well. I don't think he's that funny, though. I really don't.
Yeah, I think it's great that he's doing all these geeky things on the Tonight Show now. Like, you know, Saved by the Bell reunions and all this and all that. But I'm sorry, that Will Smith bit, that Fresh Prince bit was just horrible.
Yeah. Them doing the whole evolution of dance, I was just like, oh, okay. You know what? It was funny for about 30 seconds. And then it went about 2 minutes too long.
Yeah, there are certain people, not Jimmy Fallon, but there are certain comedians that should never leave SNL, or if they do leave SNL, should never get on television as a regular gig, because you want to talk about something bad for late night. Late Night with Seth Meyers is horrid.
I'm surprised that he's got a contract. That's got to be it. That's the only reason that he's got this contract, and they have to keep him on the air because they can't get rid of him since he's so bad. Yeah,
absolutely. Let me see, who else don't I like? Like I said earlier, I don't like have absolute seething hatred for them, but I just can't enjoy Larry the Cable Guy and Ron White's specials when they're not with Engvall and Foxworthy. It just doesn't resonate for me.
Yeah,
it just really doesn't.
I'm going to go another step here from them. I'm going to go back. She had a TV show. She was funny on the TV show, and even halfway through the show, she was losing it. Roseanne Barr. Okay. And actually, I think that her whole moment when she jumped the shark and went completely apeshit, batshit crazy was at a Padres game. And I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. She came out and screamed the national anthem. When she was done, she grabbed her crotch and spit on the ground. And that right there, I lost all respect for the woman. You know, even to this day, I'm still shocked that people still find her funny. People will still go to her shows. That she's got television shows on things like CMT. How the hell does that happen?
Yeah, that's I don't know. And it's so funny that it's not currently airing, but she's the host of investigation discovery show called Momsters.
Oh God!
When moms go bad. And she's not on. I mean, she's on there in the beginning of the show, and like when they go to commercial breaks and that kind of thing. But it's not like she's narrating it or anything like that, so that's good. Yeah, Roseanne.
She's had some things which I've just always kind of gone, what the hell were they thinking? You know that she had a cartoon on ABC for a while called Little Rosie? And it was like, I'm listening to her. She's got this little brother. The one episode which I saw, he's sick and they're trying to go through this whole thing to try and get him better. And the kid's going, Wellesley, Wellesley, Wellesley. And she's got her bitchy voice on and just kind of, oh my God, going through the whole thing.
I will say, for a different take on a classic character, she was a pretty good Krang Prime in TMNT in the 2012 series.
Oh, dear Lord.
Have you not seen this?
No. I'm afraid now.
No, it's pretty badass. It really is. I'll say that. What's so interesting, and this isn't really comedians or anything like that, but what's so interesting to me is that when the Big Bang Theory started, it was 94% leftovers of Roseanne. Because you have Johnny Galecki, who was David on Roseanne.
Yeah.
You have, what's her name?
Melissa
Aunt Jackie. Yeah. Melissa Gilbert was there. Aunt Jackie, because Aunt Jackie plays Sheldon's mother.
Oh, Shelley? Yeah.
Yeah. But I thought that was so hilarious that 90% of the Big Bang Theory was leftovers from Roseanne. I'm trying to think of other ones. Like, I'll say this. Now, I don't want to sound sexist when I say this, audience, so please forgive me when I say this, but there aren't a lot of female comedians out there that I find funny or that I watch.
Yeah.
And they're really, really are. Like, Joan Rivers is pretty much it. Roseanne, I don't care for her stand-up. I like her on, the TV show that she was doing at the time, her... But I've seen a few female comedians, and some of them are good. When I was originally watching Last Comic Standing, there was someone on there, oh God, Madigan. What the hell's her name?
Kathleen Madigan.
Kathleen Madigan. I liked her.
Yes.
But it's pretty much male that dominate the business.
Yeah, well, I'm going to use your Last Comic Standing to bring in one. You know who I'm going to talk about.
Yeah.
Okay. The very first season of Last Comic Standing, there was a comedian who went all the way and won the damn thing. Dat Fan. I went to school with Dat Fan. He went to West Hills High School. He graduated from West Hills High School 2 years before I did.
Mm-hmm.
I remember him going and working at SeaWorld. I remember seeing him. He used to be an educator there. So these people that would stand out and talk about things like, they talk about the dolphins or they'd talk about the killer whales to people and answer questions. He would be there trying to go off and make jokes and do his stand-up routine while trying to educate people. And it was just horrible. And I don't know how the hell he won. I don't know how the hell he won Last Comic Standing. He was even popular enough to where DirecTV picked him up to do these jokes because he's supposed to be so short. The guy is 5'9". He's average height. He's not short. Okay, I don't know why they had to pick on him as being short and have him do this stupid-ass thing. He's not funny. He never was. Even in high school, he tried to tell jokes. And you know, he'd be there trying to tell jokes when we were, you know, I was at Grossmont College one day, and he comes over and he starts sitting down with me and some friends of ours, some mutual friends of ours, and he starts trying to tell some jokes about how he's so funny, and, you know, he's joking about, oh, you know, hey, where's Willie and Charlie? Willie and Charlie are his best friends. And, you know, everybody, I saw him, I go, hey, how are Willie and Charlie? And he goes, God, everybody starts asking me about that. And he turns it into this whole monologue for like 5 minutes. And I'm going, Dad, that wasn't funny. You just failed big time. And, you know, I'm like, you're bombing. Stop. You're bombing. And he kept going on. And I don't know how he's still acting, how he's still doing this. He's been in movies. He was in Cellular, and people thought he was hilarious in that by doing his whole, you know, Vietnamese imitation. Mm-hmm. No. So I'm sorry. I'll get off my soapbox.
No, you know, yeah. I mean, just looking at the Last Comic Standing stuff, it's like, how and why was he on the third one? Like, he won the first one. He was on the second and the third season of Last Comic. Like, usually once you win, you're gone.
Yeah. You know.
I mean,
the other guy, Ralphie Mays, who was up against him, you know.
Yeah, Ralphie May, yeah.
Ralphie Mays is hilarious.
Yeah.
He was funnier than Dat. How did Dat win?
Yep.
You know, Ralphie's gone on. He's been doing stand-up for quite some time, and he's had several specials. What has Dat done? Nothing.
That ain't done shit.
Yeah. Oh, he got on last to the Tonight Show with Jay Leno one night, and I saw that, and I was just like, you know, he starts talking about, and one of the jokes that he starts talking about was his mom. He talks about his mom coming up to West Hollywood, and West Hollywood, for anybody who doesn't know, West Hollywood is primarily gay. Okay, there's a large gay population there. Mm-hmm. Here in San Diego, we have Hillcrest. He starts talking about this place up in West Hollywood, which does not actually exist in West Hollywood. He starts talking about his mom going up and seeing all these men being very friendly with each other and holding hands. And then he starts talking about, oh, look, they go into Kmart. Kmart. No, wait, that's not Kmart, that's Gaymart. There is an actual Gaymart in Hillcrest. I know that his mom saw that. He didn't see it up there in West Hollywood. I'm sorry. I'm picking too much. I'm going to stop.
No, hey, you know. All right, folks. I think that's going to do it for us here on GeekCast Radio. Like I said, next week coming up, we've got the second annual GCRN Awards reveals. We're going to reveal the winners on air for that. After that, I'm not sure what's coming up on GeekCast Radio. We've got to have a meeting and discuss and decide what topics we're going to be coming up with. My goal for GCR, though, I'll tell you folks, is to get 20 more, after episode 80, 20 more episodes out before the end of 2015. So we will have reached the 100 episode mark on GCR. We hope you enjoyed the Comedians We Love or Hate thing. Please comment on the post. Let us know what your favorite comedians are, or ones you can't stand as well. Where can they find you, sir, online?
You guys can come out to Talking About My Generation and listen to us. We are on iTunes, and you can find us on mygenerationpodcast.com.
All right. Unleash the geek in you, and we will catch you next time.
With a gobble gobble here and a gobble gobble there.
With a gobble gobble here and a gobble gobble there.
How do you raise the bid at a turkey auction? Ooh.
Want to give number 2 a whack?
Ovaltine.
Ovaltine.
Describe Oprah Winfrey in high school. Hasbro. How does Tito Jackson get work? Short stack. Name the host of Unsolved Midget Mysteries. Robin Hood, Dead Again, Thelma and Louise. Describe the last 800 years of Shirley MacLaine. Wake up and smell the coffee.
Wake up and smell the coffee.
What do you do after a one-night stand with Mrs. Olson? Jump down, turn around, and pick a bale of cotton. What's the last thing to do with a live grenade in your mouth? Spam and Jim Baker. Name two things that'll be in the can for the next 18 years. Godzilla, Rodan, New York City. Name three big Japanese things.
You've just listened to GeekCast Radio on the GeekCast Radio Network. There are several ways to get in contact with us or leave feedback for the show. First, visit the website, geekcastradio.com, where you can comment on all of our different podcasts. Second, you can rate our show and leave us feedback in iTunes. Third, follow us on Twitter at GeekCast Radio. Fourth, become a fan on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/GeekCast Radio. Call the voicemail line 502-526-5821. Please remember to tell us the show you are leaving the message for and your name. So until next time, unleash the geek in you.